to all of my podcast crazies out there. That is Little Narco, Timmy Trumpet, the walk-up song for Edwin Diaz, the closer for the New York Mets. Special location today. Thanking one of my sponsors that is helping out with the Brookings Cubs this year. I'm at the Rays Corner. I'm in the side room. This used to be Subway back in the day, but Rays Corner ended up buying it and renovating and adding some space, a couple of pool tables in the back. There's some machines around here. But since they were kind enough to be sponsors of mine for the Brookings Cubs this summer, I thought I would just, come in here on a Thursday morning when I've got nothing going on, do a little podcast, talk a little sports, and let you know what's going on for the weekend. So welcome in. This is Jason Salzman with Salz Media. Before we get into too much, we do have other sponsors that we get to thank, and I just want to get my sheet out because I want to read it correctly. Everything that we do here on Salz Media is brought to us by an exclusive presenter. Thank you, Bankstar Financial. With locations in Volga, Brookings, and Elkton, Bankstar provides big-time business with a small-town feel. Looking to finance a home? Looking to get a car loan? How's your retirement plan looking? Stop in today and chat with the local professionals. Bank on the bright side. Bankstar Financial, a proud sponsor of Salz Media, the Brookings Cubs through the summertime, and as we do through the school year, Sioux Valley Athletics. Bankstar, a huge sponsor of that, so thank you to Bankstar. We've got a lot of other sponsors we'll go through as we get through the show, but just want to do kind of a special on-location show today. I was trying to get to, I've been doing this from dugouts of baseball fields, softball fields in Volga. I've done a show at the Edgebrook Golf Course in the gazebo outside the clubhouse there. That would have been nice today too as well, but I decided to come down to Rays and give Lisa a little shout out as being a sponsor for the Brookings Cubs this year. So here we are in the side room, the back room, the party room, whatever you want to call this at Rays Corner. With the Brookings Summer Arts Festival happening this weekend here in Brookings, stop in here. Take a break from the hot weather we're going to have this weekend. Cool off a little bit, and then do what people do at Race Corner, enjoy a beverage, and, drive careful, I guess. Special happenings this weekend. I wanted to go through a little bit of a list of what the Friends of Baseball for Brookings have going on. I'm pretty sure there is a tournament at Bob Sheldon Field this weekend. I think it's Buffalo Wild Wings Classic weekend. I couldn't find that officially, at least on the Friends of Baseball site, but I think that's what's going on here this weekend. So I'm just going to read off a few of what's happening today. Brookings Red, that's the 13 under team. They're going to be at Brandon Valley today. That's the 3 o'clock game down at Harmadon Park. Renner Post 307, they're going to be here at Bob Sheldon Field tonight at 5 o'clock. Post 74 Junior Legion, that's the Shoots. So the Shoots have a game at Bob Sheldon tonight. Also, this one is at Harmadon Park. It says this is Yankton Post 12 at Brookings Black 14U. And that's down in Sioux Falls at Harmadon Park as well. That Renner Junior Legion matchup is a doubleheader as they're going to do 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then also at Harmadon tonight, it's Brookings Black 14 under, and they're at Sanford Black. So that's all happening down in Sioux Falls today. For tomorrow, don't do that. Hey. For tomorrow, Sanford White at Brookings 16U. That's at Irv Huther Field. So that's the SDSU football, baseball campus field over there. Post 74 Senior Legion, they're in Omaha this weekend. So I think they have a tournament down there. East Ridge at Post 74 Senior Legion. That's also in Omaha. Brookings 16U at Minnetonka. But that's at Herb Huther. So part of the tournament thing that's going on this weekend. Post 74 Junior Legion. They're at Renner tomorrow night. So that's a Friday at 5 o'clock. Possibly a doubleheader as well there. So it says 5 and 7 o'clock. So the Shoots will be in Renner tomorrow after bringing them up here today. For Saturday, the 12th, I think I'm getting that right. Yeah, today's the 10th, yeah. Right? Yeah, today's the 10th. There we go. See, I should have been more prepared, but that Friends of Baseball website is friendly if you know how to use it and know how to get around it. It's pretty crazy when you just look at the calendar and try to read off what's going on here. Parents have always enjoyed going through this website. For Saturday, Brookings 16 under. They're at West Central, but that's at Herb Huther Field. Part of the tournament's going on, so they'll be at the SDSU campus. That's an 8 o'clock start on Saturday morning. Brookings Black 14U. That's Brainsville, Minnesota. The Trojans. That's at Harmadon Park. So 14 unders down in Sioux Falls for the weekend. Post 74 Junior Legion on Saturday. They've got a noon and a 2 o'clock. They'll be down in Yankton for a doubleheader down there. And then Sioux City Futures, they're at Brookings Red 13U. That's also at Harmadon Park on Saturday. That is a 3:30 start there. And then on Sunday, it's a continuation of the Buffalo Wild Wings Classic. The tournament that's down in Sioux Falls at Harmadon Park is called the Midsummer Classic down there for those kids. And also on Sunday, it's Rock Island, Illinois at Post 74 Senior Legion, but that's down in Omaha. So Bandits are in Omaha. Shoots sounds like it's in Sioux Falls at Harmadon Park. And then we've got the younger kids here in town for the Buffalo Wild Wings Classic. Pretty cool stuff. There was a Gopher Classic on the 14th. So that would be Monday. And it doesn't say what group that is. The Brookings Cubs were just in Sioux Falls last night. I still have not received a text on whether they won or not. I'm supposed to be doing the play-by-play for all those Brookings Cubs games, and especially when they go on the road, that's when it's a much bigger deal. But I couldn't get there last night with a flat tire issue that my car had yesterday afternoon. So in effort to try to get that fixed and line it up and just keep air in that tire, I felt like going down to Sioux Falls and back just to call a game was maybe a little bit dangerous on a tire that really wasn't working all that well. So it's in the works of getting fixed. I got my appointment lined up at Hometown Tire, another sponsor for the Cubs this summer, and we'll do it that way. But so I don't know how they did. AJ hasn't sent me a text. I didn't see anything on Facebook. They should have won that. The Cubs have been very good all season long. It was a tough loss against Renner. That was the last time I saw them. And that was about 2 weeks ago because they've had cancellations and postponements due to weather, due to not enough guys. They were trying to play a game in Brandon on the 3rd of July. That got moved as well, just because it was the holiday weekend. I'm really not sure how that got scheduled, but that's how it goes. So one of the makeup dates will be Monday, the 14th, as the Baltic River Dogs come to town. So that'll be at Bob Sheldon Field on Monday night. That's a 7:30 start. And then a scheduled home game, as far as the schedule before the season started, Wednesday night as well. They'll be here, and I believe that's a Sioux Falls team that comes here on Wednesday. Yes, the Sioux Falls Brewers come here on Wednesday next week. So that's kind of a rundown of the local baseball scene here. A lot of tournaments, a lot of fun, a lot of heat, a lot of sunshine. And right here in town as well, they've got the Brookings Summer Arts Festival, which is always a blazing sunny event. And it sounds like temps will be just fine, but it's going to be a little bit warm, a little bit humid. But we're all used to that. That's pretty regular stuff around here. As we move into some Minnesota sports news, we've got Twins and we've got Lynx. Not really a lot with the Vikings right now. They're getting prepared to go to training camp. There is a training camp that's going to open up this weekend. The LA Chargers are bringing their rookies in on Saturday. Their veterans show up next Wednesday. So it doesn't seem like we should be in the NFL season yet, but the Chargers feel differently. I know the Chargers are making the trek down to, I want to say it's South America. They have their international game, and that's in like late August. Maybe that's the first weekend of the actual regular season, but the Chargers are starting to get ready. And, we do have a Hall of Fame game that's at the 30th or 31st of July, so at the end of the month, NFL is back, and maybe the Chargers are in that. I should look into that before I start reporting on these things, but boy, I'm just not prepared for the NFL yet. As far as the Vikings goes, it's been quiet on that home front there. Once you get through the draft, once you get through their OTAs, the mini camps, this is kind of their downtime. Those veterans are preparing their bodies to get back to training camp, and that's kind of where the Vikings are. So as far as what I've seen, not a lot of news coming out of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a Patriots fan. There's not a lot of news there either. They'll open up camp at some point here in the next few weeks, and prepare themselves for a season. Drake May got a lot of weapons around him through the draft. They've added some linemen, much like Minnesota did. Shoring up that offensive line, that was a key factor for the Minnesota Vikings so that J.J. McCarthy cannot have to run for his life, and I think that was their plan. Seems like they really focused on that with a couple of draft picks. There was a free agent or two that came in on that offensive line, so they were shoring that up so he wouldn't have to run around like Sam Darnold got destroyed in the last 2 games of the regular season last year. Sam Darnold moves on. He gets his big contract. Thank you to Kevin O'Connell for revitalizing his career and making things happen for him. So J.J. McCarthy, the new era of the Minnesota Vikings, he will take hold very shortly now as training camp will open up at some point here in the next couple weeks. And by the time I get to the next episode of this Salzy Show, then we'll have a lockdown on, when the dates are, when the rookies show up, when the veterans show up. I just wasn't ready for the NFL yet. I don't think you guys are either. I mean, we just got done with the 4th of July, for God's sakes. So it seems a bit early for the Minnesota Vikings. But as we roll through this, I just want to thank some other sponsors. You can see some of the sponsors there with the Brookings Cubs on the screen there. That is, the running, what do you want to call it, commercial spot on the screen there, as that just on a loop. So it's nice that the Cubs get representation of those sponsors right there that I can go through. I mean, I can name them all off too on, the Google Doc that I have them all on. Some other ones we want to thank, though, Bell Brands, always a fine sponsor of the Sauls Media broadcast like this. Bell Brands is my employer, and they're more than willing to help me out in trying to get to everything that I'm trying to get to, especially these podcasts like this. As I'm hanging out at the side room of Race Corner today, I'm staying out of the heat, just like people will be doing all weekend long with the Summer Arts Festival. But Bell Brands, thank you. They are the makers of the mini Baby Bells, the little circles that you know of, the snack cheese of champions. Peel one today. Thank you, Bell Brands, for being a sponsor of everything I do. CC's Bar and Grill, a huge Sioux Valley athletics sponsor. GP Auto, sponsoring everything that I do. Grant Peterson, man, we had a great time golfing yesterday. We went up to White. Grant has a group that goes out every Wednesday. I'm allowed to do it every other Wednesday outside of my Bell Brands schedule. We had a great time up in White. What that group does is, they just get 15 to 20 guys or so. Yesterday we had a big group, so it was larger than normal, but they go to a different course every Wednesday. It's fantastic. It's a great idea, and I hope to be able to do it at some point in the future, be able to do it, every Wednesday. But, with a job and, having to pay bills and things, it doesn't work out every Wednesday for me. But a lot of those guys are semi-retired or retired, so it's an older group as well, but they have a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun up in White yesterday. So thank you to 6 Mile Creek for hosting a really fun event yesterday. Health Source Chiropractic, sponsors of the Health Source Halftime Show. We'll do that again this year with Sioux Valley Athletics. Thank you, Health Source. That's Justin and Luke. Fantastic place, chiropractic spot. Right on 22nd Avenue, across from the water tower right here in Brookings. So if you need a realignment or something is aching, head on out. Justin and Luke will take care of you. Precision Risk Management, crop assistance from the local pros, Dave, friends, the Squire family, just fantastic, man. They're huge sponsors of Sioux Valley over in Volga, and now they're sponsors of everything we're doing here on Sauls Media as well. So it's a fun group. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, another one that I'll mention right now. That's Ann Park. Tropical Smoothie Cafe is right across from the Brookings Aquatic Center. They were sponsors of the Players of the Game through volleyball and basketball last year with Sioux Valley Athletics. So we'll do that again. And thank you very much for believing in this and wanting to be a part of it. We'll do it again this year. As we roll into Twins news, I wrote some things down for this. So I did actually prepare a little bit for Twins news. Twins get a win yesterday, 4-2, beat the Cubs, win the series against the Cubs, by the way. Cubs have, I think, 54 wins on their year, one of the top teams in the NL Central, and it's the Twins at home taking care of the first 2 games of the series. Their third game is today. It's a 12-10 start at Target Field. Yesterday it was David Festa that got the win. He's up to 3-3 on his season. Duran gets the save, his 14th of the season. But the bad news is they're 13 games back of Detroit. Detroit's got the best record in baseball still. Twins are 13 games back at 45-47 for their record. Tigers are at 59-35. It's rough. I mean, the point that I wrote down for this is, are the Twins going to be buyers or sellers? Because that trade deadline is at the end of the month here. So the Twins have to make a decision. Now, look, they've already made the decision to drop payroll. They did that before last season. So trying to add pieces to this lineup is something the Twins are going to try to look at. But since they don't have any money before the season starts to add things to it, and they're that many games out, I mean, they're still 8 games out of a wild card race. I mean, I just don't see them being buyers, which is sad. We finally have Byron Buxton as a healthy individual, the first time in 10 years that he's playing every day on a regular basis. He's not taking days off. He doesn't have to sit because his knee hurts or a hip hurts or a wrist or something. He did have to leave the game yesterday because he got hit by a pitch, but I think that was just precautionary, as you know, he does get hurt throughout his career. That's the reason that he has the contract that he has with the Twins. It was very franchise friendly. I mean, it still gave him a lot of money as far as a baseball player is concerned, but it was team friendly, knowing that he has a history of injuries. So they gave him a lot of money, but they spread it out, and it's not elite money as far as, you know, all-star center fielders, which is what he is this year. He's an all-star. He's not making all-star money, but maybe he can, if he can prove that he can make it through a season, you know, restructuring things, redoing things. But at the moment, he has a no-trade clause in his contract. I think the Twins have player control on him for probably another 4 years or so with that contract that they gave him. He's very happy being a Twin. He loves Minnesota. He loves Minneapolis. His family is huge and involved in the Twins franchise. His wife is a big fan. They're going to go down to Georgia, his home state, and be part of that All-Star game on Tuesday. He's also decided to do the Home Run Derby on Monday night, which is really cool, so he's going to have fun doing that. But it's cool to see Byron Buxton healthy, for one, and playing every day, for two, because we've been waiting basically a decade to see this, and it's finally coming to fruition. You're finally seeing it happen, and he's turned himself into an all-star. I wrote down some of those numbers on Buxton. He's leading the team with a 270 average. I know that's not great as far as leading a team goes, but he is batting 270. He's got 20 home runs, 53 RBI. Those are all team leaders, and 17 stolen bases. Now, that number's big because he can get to 30 home runs. He's already at 20. If he can stay healthy, he can get to 30 home runs. 30 stolen bases would make him a 30-30 man with the Minnesota Twins. Twins have never had that. I think they've had guys that were close. Puckett may have been close at one time. Torrey Hunter used to steal bases. But getting to that 30 home run mark at the same time has always been tough. You know, Morneau did it plenty of times. Even Dozier hit a lot of home runs when he was a Twin. Puckett hit home runs. Bernansky, all those guys. But they weren't stealing bases at the same time. Rod Carew could steal bases. He couldn't hit home runs. It's Buxton showing what he can do for the first time in a decade, that he might be a 30-30 man with the Minnesota Twins this year. Obviously, stay healthy to do that, but he's within reach. At 20 home runs and 17 stolen bases about halfway through the season, he can get there. And I guess it's just hopefully he can stay on the field. We shouldn't have to hope for that still, but you do, because it's Byron Buxton. That's the way it goes. For that game today, the 12-10 game, it's Chris Paddack going today. Chris Paddack has a 3-7 record, and that's just the Twins. That's the way they are. Colin Rea is the Cubs pitcher. He's 6-3 in his season. Makes sense. They're one of the leaders of the NL Central, so they probably have some starting pitching that can really do some damage. So they're playing another tough pitcher today. They had a tough pitcher that he went against on the Tuesday night, the first game of that series, and kind of roughed him up. That was an 8-1 victory over the Cubs on Tuesday. Then they get the 4-2 win last night. Try to sweep the Cubs and have 3 more games at home. The Pittsburgh Pirates coming to town, and then you get the All-Star break. So we'll see what happens with those Twins. Another thing I wanted to do, let's just go to this. Oh, no, that's not it. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. I should have had this open. Why didn't I have this open? Twins radio. Of course you spell it wrong. Why not? Twins radio. Twins radio always throws on to Twitter their fun stats from each game. They always circle the bases, as they call it. It's always a good read. For for last game, the game last night. Twins scored 2 runs in the first inning last night, and then again this evening. So they're talking about Tuesday night and Wednesday night. It's the first time the Twins have scored 2+ runs in the first inning in back-to-back games since July of last year against Detroit. You can find these stats in baseball. The deeper the stat, the better it is, as far as I'm concerned. Ryan Jeffers drove in one of the Twins' run in the first inning last night, his 3rd RBI of the series. In his last 3 games, Ryan is 7 for 10 with a home run, 4 RBI, and a walk. It's just the 2nd time in his career that he's recorded 7 hits in 3 games, which is kind of cool. So Ryan Jeffers finally getting on the positive sides of at-bats, which is good to see. The pregame show, Twins Radio highlighted 3 players from high school class of 2016 here in Minnesota playing in this series. So Matt Wallner, Louis Varland, and Michael Bush, all from Minnesota high schools that are playing in this series, which is kind of cool. And finally, the Twins bullpen last night tossed a combined 3.2 scoreless innings, including 0.2 from Danny Columbine and a clean frame from Louis Varland. It's been a while since you could say that as well. Danny Columbine now has a streak of 17 consecutive scoreless appearances as a reliever at Target Field. Varland is up to 16 at Target Field. The longest scoreless appearance stretch for a Twins reliever at Target Field, Taylor Rogers got to 38 straight innings in 2018 and 2019. So those are some of the fun stats that came out of last night's game. They do that after every game. You can find Twins Radio on Twitter and read the same things I'm doing, but we'll have another one. Well, after today's game, I'll probably wait a week to do another episode of this, so we'll see what Twins Radio comes up in about a week or so. Other fun baseball things that I saved just, 2 nights ago? This is from Tuesday night, okay? Tuesday night was the first day in MLB history to feature a both lead-off inside the park home run. That was Lawrence Butler of the Athletics, I believe. Yeah. And then a walk-off inside the park home run with the Giants. That was Patrick Bailey. More stats on Bailey. He is the first inside the park walk-off home run from a catcher since Benny Tate on August 11th of 1926. Almost 100 years since a catcher had a walk-off inside the park home run. Kind of cool. It was the first inside the park walk-off home run, I believe, since 2016 for any position out there. So it's been a while, and the video is kind of cool. It's not Pac Bell Park anymore. It's where the Giants play, and I can't remember the name of the place anymore, but it does have a very strange setup for the outfield because they do have McCovey Cove right behind that. So there's some weird angles. There's some weird things you can hit off out there, including the brick wall itself. So he drove one into right center and hit the top of the brick wall in right center, and it blasted to the left field area, and it just kind of followed that fence line around. So it allowed him to get around without too much problem. And it was a 3-run walk-off home run inside the park. And it was, a 4-3 finish. They were down 3-1 in the 9th inning, and he walks it off with a 3-run shot inside the park. It was kind of cool. The video is fantastic. Other things that I saved, there's a new prospect list, an updated prospect list that's on Twins Daily. These are some of the guys that might get traded if we are sellers in about 3 weeks or so at the end of July here. Walker Jenkins, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Luke Keeschel, who was up earlier this year. I think Walker Jenkins has been up. Kalen Culpepper, he has been up with the Twins at the major league level. Charlie Soto, Marco Rea, Gabriel Gonzalez. These are all names that could be moved, is kind of why I brought this up. Because if they're not going to be buyers, they probably are going to be sellers, as they're always trying to unload, sadly, salary. They're always trying to save money. It's so frustrating being a Twins fan. Just absolutely frustrating watching them just pinch pennies all the time. And it doesn't come from the general manager's office. It doesn't come from the president of baseball operations. It doesn't come from Rocco. This comes from the owners, the Pohlads, who now still have a $450 million loan against the Twins franchise because of all the other dealings that they do. They're in the banking industry in Minnesota. They have commercial real estate. They have their hands in a lot of different areas, and they own the Twins. But every other owner in baseball, the Twins, the baseball franchise that you own, is a luxury business. It's not supposed to be an everyday, let's pull money out of this and get paid type of deal. It's a luxury item, which is why the Dodgers are what they are. The Red Sox, the Yankees, the Cubs. It's the fun money that a billionaire can have, just to have a franchise and let's see if we can win a pennant. And the Twins just don't do that because the Pohlads treat it like it's one of their everyday businesses. To save their ass on some bad commercial deals, they took a $450 million loan out against the Twins franchise. It's part of the reason they're having problems selling the team, because whoever buys the team now has to take on that loan as part of it. Now, I think there's news coming out of my Minnesota guys I listen to a lot on podcasts and through the Twins daily readings that I do on a regular basis, a weekly basis. I think the MLB is willing to guarantee that $450 million to whoever would like to buy it. So if they do get a quality buyer, a legit buyer that wants to do it, and the owners as a league also approve the sale, MLB is willing to back the $450 million to make it a little bit easier to purchase. And I'll get more news on that by the time I get to the next episode. But even the MLB realizes that, what are you doing? This is supposed to be the fun part of all the things that you own, and not just, well, we have to save our ass, so we'll take money out of the Twins. That's why they're going to be sellers in about 2.5 weeks, and that's just sad. It really is. It's so hard to be a Twins fan because of dealings like the Pohlads do all the time like this. It's just, it sucks. I think I've got another baseball thing here. Ryan O'Hearn and Brent Rooker were both designated for assignment in 2022 by the Kansas City Royals. Both O'Hearn, who is now with Baltimore, and Rooker, who is now with the A's, and they just call themselves the Athletics now. They're not Oakland Athletics. They're not the Sacramento Athletics. They're just the Athletics. They're both on the All-Star team this year. So take that, Kansas City Royals. The Royals are, another small market team that is always up and down. They did get a ring here not too long ago, or at least played for a ring not too all that long ago. But it's another team that can't keep up with what the Dodgers do, the Yankees do, the Cubs, the Red Sox. They don't have their own TV network like those four teams do. They don't have their own TV revenue system. They have to share with everyone else in the league. We're going to see another one at Target Field this weekend when the Pittsburgh Pirates come to town. They're the same deal, where they just don't have a lucrative TV deal because they own their own TV network like the Yankees do. They don't have the Yes Network. They don't have NESN, which is the Boston Red Sox network. They cover all the New England sports networks. Twins don't have that. Royals don't have that. Pirates don't have that. So it's kind of cool that I saw that. The two guys that they designated for assignment 3 years later are both playing in the All-Star game and putting a middle finger to the air to the Kansas City Royals. Rooker was actually a Twins for a while. I think he was part of a trade deal. I got to look that up. Maybe it wasn't a trade. Maybe he went as a free agent or something like that. But he was a Twin for a little while, and we miss him, man. We could use that bat in our lineup right now. They're going to be an all-star. Come back. South Dakota Little League State Tournament started yesterday in Pierre. This is from Matt Kearney, who is one of the Fox Sports executive management sports things. Let me do the official one for him. Operations manager, sports marketing executive at Fox Sports Rapid City. Sports, weather, everything in between. He's an IndyCar fan. Opinions are his own, but he works for Fox Sports out in Rapid City, and he put the bracket out there for the State Little League Tournament in Pierre. Brandon Valley Little League played Harney Little League. That was on Tuesday night. Yesterday, it was Canyon Lake Little League. That's out of Rapid City, playing Sioux Falls Little League. And then Capital City Little League, which is out of Pierre, would have played the winner of Brandon Valley and Harney Little League. So they're battling that out. Losers go there. Yeah, they're battling it out this weekend in Pierre. So there's another game today. They've got 2 games lined up for Friday, and then the championship games on Sunday. There's also a Saturday game in there for the losers bracket type of deal. So Sunday's championship day, that is at Griffin Field in Griffin Park in Pierre this weekend. So Little Leaguers going at it. I'm assuming the winner of that is the state representative that would go to the national tournament when teams from Sioux Falls, teams from Rapid City that have done those Little League things before, I think they go to Indianapolis, pretty sure. And if they can go all the way to Williamsport and play in the World Series, it'd be cool. So that's going on in Pierre this weekend. And one last thing for the Twins. Byron Buxton is a perfect 16 for 16 in stolen bases this year, bringing his career success percentage up to 90.8%, making him the only player in MLB history to have over 100 stolen bases and a 90% success rate. Byron Buxton's the only one. Took 10 years to get into this level. This is the guy that we've been waiting to watch. He's been a lot of fun to see. It's great to see him out there every day. Hopefully yesterday that hit by pitch thing that he did in the first inning did not hurt him too bad, and he can go right back out there and enjoy his All-Star Game weekend, starting up on Sunday with a Futures game. They do the celebrity softball thing on Sunday, and then Monday night's the Home Run Derby, Tuesday's the All-Star Game. So hopefully you can enjoy all of that this weekend. We're going to thank some other sponsors, and we're going to talk about the Minnesota Lynx here, and then we'll close up the show. Other sponsors we're going to do, Back Alley Meats, fantastic butcher shop in Volga. Man, try the jerky chips that they have there. I mean, they have the burgers and the steaks and the chops and the bratwursts and everything else you need for any backyard party that you're doing, if you're grilling out on a Thursday night. They got all the great stuff you need. Back Alley Meats, man, fantastic place. The jerky chips, though, try those with everything else you're doing. Buster's Auto Brokers, right on the corner, right on the price, right in Mitchell. Thank you, Buster Vincent. Nick's Hamburgers, a proud sponsor of everything we do here on Saul's Media. Jimmy John's, another fantastic sponsor. They were the Player of the Game sponsors for the softball season for Sioux Valley Cossacks. The Man Cave Barbershop, Alicia and Friends, always a fan of everything we're doing here on Saul's Media, so thank you, Alicia. We'll take you along with the next season as well. And I think that's all I have for that. We can get into one of my special docs here as well. I just don't want to miss out on anyone. Docs, Cubs. Yeah, you can see the other logos there. Brookings Vision Center, Ray's Corner, who is hosting our podcast today. Thank you, Lisa and Ray's Corner. Scoops and Loops, right across the street. They're fantastic. Brookings Engraving, your home for Brookings Bobcat apparel, right on Main Street here by Pizza King, Cook's Kitchen, Skinner's, that Bluro right there, right across the street from Cubbies. Hometown Tire and Service, who's taking care of my tire problem right now. And the other ones I just mentioned right there, Nick's and Back Alley Meats. So a lot of sponsors that have really signed on to do all of this, and I appreciate it for sure. We'll add more sponsors as we start rolling into the Sioux Valley season. Their first football game is August 22nd. They get to go to St. Thomas More, and sadly, I don't get to go. I can go, but I would have to take 2 full days of vacation to make that happen. Just so happens their first game is on the road. It's in Rapid City, and it's on a work weekend for me. So I don't get to go to Rapid City to call the first game because I need those 24 vacation hours for the rest of the year, as I will be leaving from time to time at 5 o'clock for some home games, at 3 o'clock for some other road games. I know they go to Siston this year. They go to Elk Point Jefferson this year. Those are all happening on work weekends. Their road games this year are on work weekends for me, so I have to save some of that vacation time for the rest of the season. Plus, volleyball starts up at the same time, and there will be Tuesdays and Thursdays where I'm going to have to leave early from work for those. It's just the way it works out. With my work schedule at Bellbrands, I need those hours, so I can't take 24 of them to go out to Rapid City for the St. Thomas More game. So, Cossack Crazies, I'm sorry I don't get to go to St. Thomas More, but I will be watching. I think St. Thomas More has their own feed. I'll be watching that, much like you guys will. I wish I could, but I need to work. I'm the only one paying for the stuff, so I got to work. And I can't take the rest of those 24 hours. I need those 24 hours throughout the rest of volleyball season, football season, and the start of basketball for that matter. So I apologize in advance for not being able to go to Rapid City for the first game of the year. Minnesota Lynx. This will be quick. They took a tough loss yesterday. They went to Phoenix. Actually played at like 2:30 in the afternoon because Phoenix was hosting a youth basketball camp. So they brought out a lot of young girl basketball players and were part of that game. I think the Lynx are doing the same thing next week when they host a game at Target Center, but it's part of a youth basketball camp. So they do it in the afternoon so the kids can be part of the camp that they're doing and the game that's happening right after that. But the Minnesota Lynx went down to Phoenix and took a tough loss yesterday. Their third loss of the season. Let me do this. In fact, that game today for the Lynx is at 2 o'clock. They're in L.A. to play the Sparks, so it could be the same type of deal. When you're playing at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I think that's part of the deal. It's a league-wide thing. All the teams do it, and just happens to be the schedule that the Lynx are on right now. Yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was Phoenix Mercury. Today, it's the L.A. Sparks at 2 o'clock. So, but a tough loss for those Lynx yesterday as the Phoenix Mercury got a win over them. Phoenix, one of the better teams out there, man. 14-6 on their season now. That drops the Lynx to 17-3, which is the best record in the WNBA by far. Technically, it was their fourth loss of the season after losing that Commissioner's Cup to Indiana, Caitlin Clark and friends, even though Caitlin didn't play in that game. But that loss in the Commissioner's Cup did not count against their regular season. So they're still 17-3, and now they'll play the Sparks today. It was Alyssa Thomas who starred for the Phoenix Mercury yesterday, career high 29. And the Mercury closed out on a 19-4 run to beat the Lynx 79-71. So a tough loss in Phoenix yesterday. Hope our Lynx can bounce back today as they're playing a Sparks team that doesn't have the best record by any means. Let me open that back up. 6-13, the LA Sparks. Yes, they do have Kelsey Plum. She's fantastic. She can score from anywhere on the floor. Raquel Jackson is a young star that the Sparks have. They just don't have enough around them to compete with a Minnesota Lynx team. I think they can compete with a lot of the other teams in the league, but not with the Lynx. The Lynx are they're too good at every position, and the Sparks can't guard that stuff. They might be able to keep up scoring-wise because Plum can score from anywhere, and she can drop 40 in any night she wants to, but you need more help than that, and you have to be able to defend and rebound, and the Lynx do all of those things very well. So I'm looking for a big win today against the Sparks. As far as the Lynx go, they do have quite a few games here coming up. So today in L.A., Saturday, they'll be in Chicago. That's a noon game on Saturday because it's on ABC. So that's a nationally televised game at noon on Saturday. Monday night, 7 o'clock, they'll be in Chicago again. They're doing 2 games in Chicago. Okay. And then they'll come back home next Wednesday as the Phoenix Mercury come to town. So they got a big week coming up here with a Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. So that's 3 games in the next, 7 days, 6 days? And coming off of that Commissioner's Cup, they had 4 games, I think, just in the last 7 days. So they've been playing a lot of basketball here for the last couple weeks. Once they get done with next Wednesday, they have a week off after that before Chicago comes to town. So that's 3 games against the Chicago Sky the next 10 days. Yeesh. The Sky are 6-13 on their season. Phoenix is a good team. The Sparks 6-13. So they do have some winnable games coming up. It's just that there's a lot of them in the next 10 days or so. I think that's kind of all I have. The big news, the big Cossack news is I don't get to go to the first football game, which stinks. I don't like that, but I really need those 24 vacation hours for the rest of the football season, for the rest of the volleyball season. And then when you start getting into December, we start up with girls and boys basketball as well. So I need those 24 hours beyond a Rapid City trip on the 22nd of August. Other than that, it's local baseball around here. The Cubs get back to work on Monday night. They have a Monday, Wednesday, both at Bob Sheldon Field next week. We've already done that. Twins have, the noon game today and then 3 games against Pirates, All-Star game. Are you guys All-Star game fans? I love the All-Star game. I've always enjoyed the MLB All-Star game, and I think out of the major sports that we have here, I think that's the best one because the NBA, they don't play any defense at all. So that's just a scoring fest, 150 to 149 on a regular basis. Last NBA All-Star game I saw, they were chucking up half-court shots during the game. The NFL Pro Bowl is god-awful. They can go away with that. If they keep doing they do a flag football thing is fine. I think they also have, a long time ago they used to do obstacle courses and things like that. But if they want to do specialty skills, I'd probably watch that. But watching the Pro Bowl, football at half speed is not entertaining, and that's what that is. No one's trying to get hurt. No one's trying to do anything. So the Pro Bowl is not a highlight by any means. And hockey, I don't watch enough hockey to be a judger of hockey, but I feel like their All-Star game is probably second best maybe. But it's hockey at, half speed, at three-quarter speed. And I know those guys are playing hard because hockey players are a different breed for sure. So it's better than what the NFL does. It's better than what the NBA does. But hockey, I just didn't grow up playing hockey. So I'm not a huge hockey fan because I was never in it as a kid. So, but I think they do their All-Star game just fine, comparatively to the other major sports. The WNBA All-Star game would be a week from this weekend. They'll be in Indianapolis. I do believe it's a week from this weekend, I think. And that game's nationally televised. I think ABC will have that, but they'll be in Indianapolis. Defisha Collier, a captain of that WNBA All-Star squad that she's on. Caitlin Clark, the other captain. So they did a nice draft this week. So those player lists are all out there. Maybe we'll go through that next week when we do another episode and talk about the WNBA All-Star teams. And when and where, because I think it's next weekend in Indianapolis. But make sure that we know what that is. I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you, Ray's Corner. There's some peeps back there playing a little pool. It's a Thursday late morning, I guess, maybe, something like that. But thank you to Lisa and Ray's Corner being a sponsor of the Brookings Cubs on Salz Media. And it was fun to be able to come back here to the old subway part of the downtown area that has now been taken over by Ray's Corner. And you can see it here. I've got my stuff resting on a pinball machine right here. But Lisa's always been fantastic to me, and she had no problem me setting up some equipment here in the back room and putting everything together. So thank you, Rays, for being a sponsor of the Brookings Cubs this summer. They get back at it Monday and Wednesday next week. But that's going to do it. That is episode 8 of the Salzy Show. I am Jason Salzman. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Always fun. That doesn't cost you anything. The more subscribers I have, the easier it's for me going to be able to sell this thing to YouTube as something that could be something. Start advertising more on YouTube, which would be fun. But thanks for following along. Thanks for keeping up. I'll keep doing the Salzy Show. Once we get into the Sioux Valley seasons, man, we'll bring the Coaches Show back as well. So, I'm thinking in my head of what advertisers might want to be a part of. Not only the games that'll be on Friday nights, other than the St. Thomas More game, but the Tuesdays and Thursdays and Mondays with volleyball. Those are always fun. But then once a week, we'll start doing Coaches Show. We used to do it on Wednesday afternoons, but I had to do it every other Wednesday because of that, Bell Brand schedule that I told you about. And Wednesdays always worked because school gets out early on Wednesdays. I could just show up to their, the cafeteria essentially and set up at 3 o'clock. And it was right before practices. We're going to start at 3:30 and 4 o'clock there. So it worked out well there. We may move that time slot and the location. I'm still working on the details of that, but I want to make it a weekly thing rather than every other week. And if we do that, we have to get away from the Wednesday time slot at 3 o'clock. We have to go to the evening. So I'm going to look at some schedules. If a Monday night works at, say, 7 o'clock, then we'll do it that way. And there's a lot of just lining things up that has to happen to make that happen. But that's what I have in my head of I want to make it a weekly show. I don't want to do it every other week, but we got to move it out of that time slot if that's going to be the deal. So there's still a lot of details to work out on that. But as far as sponsors go, you get games that are going to have 100 to 300 people watching on a volleyball night. I feel like we're going to have 500 to 1,000 people watching on football nights, especially when they're on the road. and you get into the basketball scene, you're getting 200 to 400 people watching those. The road games are always bigger audiences. That's the way it is. Not everyone can get to the road games. But we just showed it off with the softball team that went to the state tournament up in Aberdeen. We were getting 250 people to watch those things on a Thursday afternoon, a Friday afternoon, and a Saturday at 10 a.m. This is working, and it's getting bigger, and it's expanding, and I love it. And for advertisers out there, I'll be reaching out very soon here in the next few weeks, lining up advertisers to be a part of this, to help support this, actually. It takes money to support this stuff, and I like spending money out of my own pocket, but that little corner on the screen shows you that it's worth it for you at the same time. You get to be a part of the broadcast. You get to be a part of the athletics. You get to be a part of all of the girls' teams from Sioux Valley that went to a state tournament last year. I don't see that repeating itself. That was a magical year at Sioux Valley. Not all of them will go. I think some of them will. That girls basketball team is still going to be fantastic. Softball team is still going to be really good for how young they were this year. The football team is still loaded with talent. They can go deep into the playoffs. The boys basketball team, young, yes, but now experienced and young at the same time. They'll be better this year. I'm excited for Sioux Valley Athletics, and I hope you guys are too. We'll get some advertisers on this, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it. And that's going to do it for today. That's an episode. This is Salz Media. I'm Jason Salzman. I'll talk to you next week.